For more reaction, let's bring in Aramesh in Washington. He's a national security analyst and lawyer. So let's start first about the significance of this strike, both on Tehran and the supreme leader.
Well, Mr. Soleimani was not just a general. He was, in effect, the acting foreign minister. He played a much bigger role in regional and global affairs, leading the Quds forces of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Force. He was a key player in terms of both military and foreign policy decision-making of the Islamic Republic, and a very close individual to the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. He called him the living martyr many, many years ago. And he was one of the most loyal and close confidants of the Supreme Leader. On the other hand, those who were sort of in support of Iran's actions in Syria and Lebanon and Iraq and Yemen, so on and so forth, they all know that he was an organizer, he was a planner, he was very effective on the ground. But in addition to that, he was also very charismatic. It wasn't just his effectiveness as a military leader and a planner, but also his charisma and his personality was what drew many to him. And that's why his loss and his death is going to be irreplaceable in that sense. Yes, you can appoint another general to take over his position, but it's irreplaceable because you're not going to find someone of that stature, of that charisma, and of that sort of popular appeal to carry forward the Islamic Republic's aims and deeds.
Were you surprised this happened?
I was. The president here, President Trump, has sort of carried out a policy of de-escalation for the most part. Yes, there's been maximum pressure. There's been a lot of sanctions against the Iranian government. But just a couple months ago, when the Iranians shot down an American drone over friendly skies, the president decided to back down. And he said he was not interested in escalating and killing 250 Iranians. And when Iran attacked Aramco, the Saudi Arabian oil company, again, the U.S. and her allies decided to back down. But this time, it seems like the president has decided to pull the trigger. And I think the president, by de-escalating the past couple of times, he bought himself a lot of credit, a lot of goodwill, showing that maybe he's not a war hawk. Again, that's up for debate. But now, again, the foreign policy circle around the president, yeah, there are no more John Boltons, but you got Mike Pompeo, and you got others within the administration who are much harsher on Iran than the previous administration was, and they are saying that the regime in Tehran understands force. The question is, how far are we going to escalate, and how far are we going to commit boots to the ground and to the region? Today, the 82nd Airborne was ordered to send an additional 3,000 troops to Iraq, to the region. So the president's campaign promise of endless wars in the Mideast are sort of going to backfire on him.
So that leads me to my next question. With this additional troops, 3,000 troops heading to the Middle East, also, will this likely lead to retaliation against the U.S.? Is that what the fear is right now?
With or without sending troops, there will be retaliation, and it will be asymmetrical. The Iranian government does not have the troops, the forces, or the technology, or the military might for a direct confrontation with the United States, but they will definitely and certainly retaliate. This is not just another general. Many, many generals have been killed in Syria and Iraq. Many have been murdered. Many have been assassinated. Many have been taken prisoner and interrogated, then released. Qasem Soleimani was not just a general, it was an icon, and that's why killing him was such a big deal. And the second man who was killed, Abu Mahdi Mohandes, who was one of the key leaders of the Popular Mobilization Force in Iraq, he also was quite a character and quite a leader in Iraq, and his death is a big blow, has dealt a big blow to Shia military movement and Shia militias inside Iraq.
So then answer this, is this smart strategy or is this a miscalculation by Trump?
We'll have to wait and see. The question is, what was the alternative? Question was, well, they were planning for further attacks, they were planning future attacks, they had already attacked the U.S. Embassy without any success. Question is, do you take individuals out or not? For 5 years, actually from 2005, so after the invasion in 2003, but from 2005 to 2012, we had Soleimani on our crosshairs. We could have picked him up in Iraq, we could have picked him up in the Kurdish regions, we could have killed him, but we didn't. Him being alive was more valuable, but apparently the decision has been made within the national security crowds that take him out, send a message to Tehran. His replacement will not be as effective. Regardless, it will send a message that the U.S. is not afraid of escalating tensions with Iran, even if that means direct military confrontation.
So Iran has had a heavy hand in many parts of the region, in Syria, in Yemen, and Iraq. Any reaction by Iran could cause a ripple effect in the region. What are some scenarios that you could see?
Most likely, they're through their proxies, the very proxies that Soleimani built, developed, organized, and armed, are going to carry out attacks against U.S. interests and her allies. And there will be retaliation. And that would mean potentially a low to mid-intensity regional war, but the worst-case scenario could be massive aerial bombing of Iran and by U.S. forces, and massive aerial bombings of Iranian interests around the region. And Iran's two main sort of defensive factors here are its missile defense, not missile defense, but its missile forces, so they can launch a number of Russian and North Korean supplied missiles that are highly inaccurate, but they got thousands of them. And then the second force they have in their sort of arsenal would be the use of proxies, Hezbollah in Lebanon, various groups like Hashd-e-Shaabi and Hezbollah in Iraq, and other forces like the Houthis. So from Afghanistan, all the way from Kabul to Beirut, from east to west to the Mediterranean, Iran does have assets. But again, the question is how much pain and suffering each party is willing to go through to deliver its message home.
Okay, we'll definitely be keeping our eye on this for sure. Aramesh, thank you for your time today.
Pleasure.
Mr. Aramesh is a national security analyst and lawyer.